I think the parties too have a response. Then you can't hold them accountable. So the political parties need to do more work in engaging them, and unless they refuse to engage with which I have not seen, we need on the party to do more to engage them. And at the end of the day, they must go with what, because you are the players. The tournament cannot set rules if all the players don't want those rules. So I think the political parties also have a key role to play to ensure that those rules are in the best interest of elections. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your presence. Despite your tight schedule, you've been here with us since morning till about 3:20. And I believe we should be rounding up by 4 o'clock. So therefore, Your Excellency, we thank you so much, and you can take your leave. Okay, we continue. Leader. Okay, gentlemen, we continue. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, be seated. We will be rounding up at 4, so we have about maybe 40 minutes. So we continue before people start asking questions. I think we would want to listen to Professor M.T. Ladan. Professor M.T. Ladan of NILS. Okay. After Professor M.T. Ladan, then some questions. I believe a lot of people will want to continue to ask questions. Okay. To the INEC chairman. So in due course, you can ask your question, but just give opportunity for a few comments from the professor. Professor, you have 5 minutes. Gentlemen, be seated, please. Distinguished Senator, be seated. Honorable members, be seated, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Professor
Chairman.
MT, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Professor Taufik Ladan. I'm the Director, Legislative Support Services of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, National Assembly, Abuja. Mr. Chairman, permit me to start with the recommendation made by the INEC chairman on the need to reactivate the proposed bill on the establishment of the Electoral Offences Commission and Tribunal. With all due respect to the INEC chairman, I think this may be a solution, but it could be also a problem because doing so will encourage us actually to create another bureaucracy into the system and also add to the cost of governance. And my slight modification to his proposal is that we already have existing law enforcement agencies, and what we can do in order to actually save the cost of governance is to amend the act of, for instance, EFCC. EFCC actually already has under Section 7, subsection 2, special powers to enforce the provisions of certain laws, Money Laundering Act, BOFID Act, and then, Advanced Fee Fraud Act. So all you need to do, instead of creating another bureaucracy, Mr. Chairman, is that we can look at, because our key problem as to why we are not enforcing, electoral provisions on vote buying is because, truly speaking, INEC lacks the capacity. It has no police of its own. It cannot have actually an effective arrest system. And it is very also obvious that cooperation with the police is also becoming another problem. So one way out, instead of creating another bureaucracy, of the Electoral Commission Tribunal, and Commission on Electoral Offences, you open up the law of an existing law enforcement agency or paramilitary agency like EFCC, which already under Section 17.2 allows it to enforce the provisions of existing laws. So you smuggle in by amendment, enforcement of provisions of electoral provisions relating to electoral offences. That actually will be smoother and easier for us to actually move forward with regards to effective compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act on electoral offences. And then it will also save us cost of governance in creating a bureaucracy. There is no need, because we're already crying that there are over 350 establishment bills and acts, and we don't have money to actually establish those institutions. So why do we want to create another bureaucracy? With due respect, Annex Chairman, I think we can do without that particular bill. That is one. Second, Mr. Chairman, is that, there is actually this belief that we need stiffer penalties. With all due respect to those who hold this view, Mr. Chairman, it is very clear. If you look at Section 23 of the Electoral Act, it provides for the seller and buyer of voters' card by a person on his own behalf or on behalf of another person is an offense punishable by a maximum of fine of 500,000 naira or 2 years imprisonment. You don't need, a stiffer penalty in upgrading from what we have here. The second, actually, Section 24, causing, inducing, or hindering any person to refrain from registering as a voter attracts a maximum of 500,000 naira up to 5 years imprisonment. You don't need to upgrade this particular stiffer punishment that we already have. And then you look at Section 124, provides for electoral offense of bribery and inducement in elections, voter coercion, bribery through gifts or money to voters, or promote such or promise of such, receipt of bribes by voters, attract the fine of 500,000 naira or 12 months imprisonment, or both. There is no need for us to upgrade, stiffer penalties with regards to what we already have. What we are lacking, Mr. Chairman, is effective monitoring compliance by INEC and effective enforcement of provisions by the law enforcement agencies, which INEC does not have control over the police and other security agencies. And it is very wrong for people to be shifting blame actually onto INEC. I'm not speaking for INEC, but that's the reality of the law. You hold people actually accountable, for lack of actually effective arrest, then prosecution and trial. This is the responsibility of the police and the Office of Attorney General. And one way forward, Mr. Chairman, as far as I'm concerned, is that first and foremost, there is the need for us to understand that there are two fundamental attitudinal problems that we've not actually addressed and that we need to address. So beyond stiffer penalties and beyond shifting blame on INEC, when there is already a perception or a cynical view by both the electorate or voters and the politicians, as well as actually other interest groups, that, elections in Nigeria is an investment, but it is a higher risk in investment. But the higher the risk, the greater the returns in investment. So politicians and the interest groups that support politicians already have this perception of our politics. And so for the electorate, the cynical view in return is that politics in Nigeria is dirty, it's actually for people that are actually dishonorable, and it's also for people that are actually betrayal of trust of the public, actually trust, vested in them. And we need to change this attitudinal actually view of both the electorate and politicians and their supporters, because politics should be seen as a social responsibility. It is also a constitutional responsibility, and it's a matter of fundamental human rights and freedom. It is not about investment, and it's not about the view that the greater the risk, the greater the investment and return in. So when we see election and politics as an investment, then obviously we will detach actually the requirements actually of the law with regards to the rights of the electorate and also the need for us to put national service and national interest first. And finally, Mr. Chairman, I would like to also say that there is a need actually for us to believe that if we cannot actually eliminate vote buying, at least we can minimize, Mr. Chairman, the negative consequences of vote buying on the Nigerian polity. And the answer is yes, we can do it. We can minimize it by enhancing the technical material, human, and financial capacity of INEC to monitor compliance, and also similar capacity actually of the Nigerian police and the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and of the states.
1 minute.
To actually ensure that there is effective collaboration, of the law and security agencies with order to enforce the provisions of the Electoral Act relating to electoral actually offenses, particularly vote buying, and those who also promote campaign financing and party funding with actually electoral impunity, where the ceiling actually placed by law is deliberately and consistently violated with impunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let us hear from the military, the army. You have anything to say? Navy? You have anything to say? What about civil defense?
Your Excellency, the Senate President, who is not here, the Speaker, House of Reps, is also not here. Distinguished senators here present, the chairman of INEC, whom everybody have been just like a towel along on the road. If you come, you play your hand, but he's doing a wonderful job. Gentlemen of the press, however listening public, good afternoon. My name is Madu Hilary Kelechi, a fellow of the Security Institute. I'm representing the Commandant General, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Abdullahi Ghana Muhammad, who is unavoidably absent. Let me start by commenting on most of the things, or some that have not been talked about. Has the electoral process, this is the question, has the electoral process improved since independence? Before the return to democracy in 1993, electoral process was still in order. The election conducted then was near perfect and was commendable. There was no technology then, but thank God INEC is bringing technology today, and those that snatch ballot boxes are being frustrated by INEC. My question to stakeholders is, who is buying the votes? Who is buying and who is selling? If there is no demand, nobody will sell. The security agencies, like the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, as is our maxim is collect bribe and die, and some of us don't. I don't know the interest the security agencies have. Do they partake in the selling, or in the buying, or in the turning the other way? That's the questions we have to ask ourselves. Let me say that NSCDC, as a paramilitary outfit, posts our men to ensure there is security of these same stakeholders involved or engaged in elections. We also post our men to protect critical national assets and infrastructure. The problems that come up in elections, these problems, as we read in the papers always, inducements. Who induces? Is it INEC that is giving you money to come and vote? Are we voting for INEC? Are we voting for security agencies? Who is demanding for votes? Who is canvassing for votes? Who is buying and who is selling? Let us not buy, people will not sell. Today, I am advising that we should stop buying so that they will stop selling. The electorate must take their civic responsibilities seriously by coming out to vote according to the dictates of their conscience. Let us make election. Let us make it less attractive. Let it not be that because you don't have money in Nigeria today, you don't come out for election. And remember, these people that come out for elections, they are coming out to be our what? Servants. I don't know why our servants should be breaking their heads to come and serve me. It is either you are my servant or you are not. Let us also give support to INEC and also key in to what the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces have said, that the forthcoming election will be free, fair, and credible. And I am assuring you, as a security agency, we are not going to support any stakeholder who comes to. But if we get you, we arrest. I am assuring you that. Mark my face, I am the Deputy Commandant General of Operations. Report to me, I will take action. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well done. You spoke very well. Hold on. You are true. DG, you can make your presentation. 2 minutes, please.
Two is not enough. My name is Chief Dr. Osita Okereke, OON. I was former chairman in Interparty Advisory Council and also been a presidential candidate in this country more than 2 times. So now, my party was Liberation Party. Then I want to use that liberation to liberate Nigeria out of bondage in the security aspect of it. Everybody is talking about INEC, talking about the vote buyers.
Quiet.
Talking about so many things here. But
Clark,
when the youths are hungry,
hold on.
there must be security.
Hold on. Clark, you are distracting everybody's attention here. Please. Go ahead, DG.
We must talk about